Hey everyone, Ida from PGP here, and welcome back to Rivalries Thursdays. This week, I want to talk about the on and off track battles of Fernando Alonso and Sebastian Vettel. If you want to know more about these drivers as individuals, check out our episodes we did on them in the past. But what was their rivalry like? Well, they directly competed between the seasons of like 2010, 2012, 2013, basically early 2010s, while they were both vying for a championship. Especially 2010, 2012, and 2013. So what happened while Vettel was at Red Bull and Fernando was at Ferrari? Well, let me tell you. So 2010, they were battling it out, and ultimately Vettel clinched a championship, his first one, in a dramatic finale at Abu Dhabi. 2011, while they were still battling, it wasn't as intense, so I'm not gonna really touch on it. But then 2012 rolled around, and while the Ferrari was seemingly less competitive, it mounted a remarkable title challenge to Vettel's Red Bull. But despite Alonso's consistent performance and valiant efforts, Vettel ultimately secured the championship, his third consecutive title, at the season finale in Brazil. Yes, Abu Dhabi isn't always and wasn't always the season closer, even if it has been for a while. And so their last truly competitive year was 2013. And it saw another intense battle with both basically duking it out all season long, yet Vettel's dominance with Red Bull, particularly in the second half of the season, allowed him to secure his fourth consecutive championship, with Alonso finishing runner-up. So what were their on-track battles like, though? Well, for example, these battles, of course, showed driving prowess and basically reminded everyone what the sport was truly about, because they were very, very, very determined to outperform each other, leading to memorable moments, especially because of close wheel-to-wheel racing, strategic duels, and occasional clashes, adding an extra layer of excitement to the races, where they found themselves competing for victories and crucial championship points. However, just because they were fierce rival, like duking it out on track and everything, didn't mean they didn't have a mutual respect for each other. And like this manifested with like mentioning each other in interviews and praising each other's talents and achievements during those interviews. And honestly, that to me makes it one of the, while not as spicy rivalries, like there wasn't as much like lore and gossip fodder and whatnot. It makes for one of the great rivalries of the early 2010s, and honestly, it gives a nice balance, dare I say, to some of the other more, dare I say, spicy rivalries that were going on at the time. So it's a nice balance, and it also shows their characters as individuals, because oftentimes, especially during that time, Vettel was seen as this basically kind of assholey driver because he was dominating so much, and like basically he was just on top of the sport. And similar to Max right now, people just didn't like that. And so he oftentimes was portrayed as this like asshole, dare I say. And at the same time, that juxtaposition of him talking about Fernando and his respect for Fernando gave him a more human like appearance. And that's what I find so beautiful about that rivalry. And in terms of Fernando, I find his aspect of the rivalry amazing, because at that point in time, Ferrari wasn't on top. They didn't really have a competitive car, and yet he still tried and tried and tried, to the point where I think it was, if I'm not 100% mistaken, it was 2012, where post-race, I think it was Brazil, basically post-race, he still had his helmet on, but was already being interviewed by people, and basically told he didn't clinch the championship. That's how close it was. Like, they didn't know like who would win. It very much gave Japan 2022. And basically, you see like one of the pictures from that interaction, you like see his visor a bit up, and you basically only see his eyes. And the moment he got told that Vettel won the championship, you just see him shut down. And to me, that was a heartbreaking moment. Like, go look it up on YouTube if you don't know what I'm referring to. But basically, it was this rivalry of this asshole figure, Vettel. Even though, if you've been following the sport for a while, basically post Red Bull, the media all of a sudden loved him. But basically, we had the very dominant person on one side, and then how should I put this? The very strong fighter, but still coming up short person. It was almost like, I don't want to say David and Goliath, because Ferrari was and still is a powerhouse. It wasn't like, say, Fernando was in a Haas and trying to win championships, but it was still, at least the media made it sound similar to, it made it sound, you had this very dominant figure, and then you had the person or the team trying to overthrow them, but never quite managing it. Plus it was Ferrari, and they oftentimes were just likable, especially after, sadly, they stopped winning championships. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed that overview of their rivalry, even if I waffled on for a bit. And see you guys next week. Bye.